directors in another company. In fact, you provide the name C&J Alaska Limited. You conclude, however, that, quote, no part of our documentary, that video, showed evidence of any acts committed specifically by any individual mentioned above. But did you question these directors about the destruction their company was evidently seen inflicting on the environment, since you acknowledge that there was damage?
Now, the AG's office, as you know, we do not investigate.
But you have the powers to advise the police to do so. You've done that in many cases.
Yes, it is the duty of the police or the investigation body to investigate. Before they send a docket to us, they have done what they were supposed to do and what they have gained out of, or they have gotten out of their investigations. So far as we are concerned, if a docket is brought to us and we do not understand anything, we write back to the police that can you look at this place, but based on the evidence available on the docket, and based on the fact that the police said they had conducted their own investigations, the only conclusion that we reached was that some of the persons named in that report could not be prosecuted, but there are others that we think we should look further. But as I said, if tomorrow there's evidence to the fact that company A was actually the company that engaged in that activity, nothing stops us from also.
But that evidence in the case of Heritage Imperial exists. It's out there. We have done that work. Have you asked the police to investigate? Because you also named the directors yourself in your statement, to investigate these directors and the owners and their complicity in the destruction that is evidently shown.
Whatever the police did, I can tell you once. Last week I heard the AG speak on your network. If people may want to know what the police did in this particular matter, fortunately, we have the Right to Information Act. The police will tell you we did A, B, C, D, and E. And if you realize that what they gave you on the docket, what they have on the docket is not enough, and you have any other evidence that they didn't have, nothing stops anyone from providing them with that piece of evidence.
Johnny Same Jamfi, who obviously did a press conference on Monday. Mr. Jamfi, the AG statement questioned your party's record on the fight against illegal mining. The point there is that you have no moral authority to be pointing fingers at him and demanding his resignation because your party's record on this matter is wretched. You accept that?
Well, first of all, I'm surprised to hear my good friend and brother, the Deputy Attorney General, say that we are all concerned about the menace of illegal mining. They shouldn't try to fool anybody because nobody can or will be fooled in this matter. Ghanaians know that we are all not concerned about the menace of illegal mining. Our friends in the NPP, our friends in this government are happy and in fact are responsible for the thriving illegal mining enterprise in this country. They are ready to protect and shield persons against whom incontrovertible evidence exists as having engaged in illegal mining. And so he should spare us this rhetoric about all of us being concerned. If they were concerned about illegal mining, they would not have uttered the legal opinion which is currently under review, which legal opinion seeks to cover up the serious crimes that persons in this government have committed against the state through illegal mining. You see, the Attorney General says that in our press conference, we played a documentary by Joy News, which shows the destruction of forests in Ghana as a result of illegal mining. But that there was no evidence of illegal mining in the said documentary or any evidence that ties any of the named persons in the Frimpong Boateng report to that destruction. Evans, Heritage Imperial Limited is a company registered under the laws of this country. A simple search at the Registrar General Department will reveal the shareholders and directors of the company. And if they are not done so, I can tell them that the shareholders of that company are Mr. Reynolds Kwabi and Mr. Emmanuel Donald Enshia. These are indisputable facts. Now, it is also an indisputable fact that on the 25th of October 2018, this company was issued with a prospecting license to go and prospect for gold in the Pamprama Forest Reserve. Anybody who doubts this can simply Google this. You will see the minister, the NPP minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who issued and signed this prospecting license. He is called Honorable Asoma Chreme. The Deputy Attorney General on the line knows him very well. They come from the same region, Bono region, my region. And he is on public record to have said that he issued that prospecting license on the 25th of October 2018. Now, on the 5th of December 2018, the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining raided the site of this company. And when they went there, they saw that the company was not engaged in prospecting as allowed by their prospecting license, but that they were actually engaged in illegal mining. That is also a fact, because in that documentary that we showed, you see evidence of mining. During prospecting, you don't use excavators or payloaders. What is allowed during prospecting, the experts will tell you, is the drilling of pits for the collection of samples and trenching. Nobody does prospecting with payloaders and excavators. Yet, the task force seized close to 30 excavators and other heavy-duty mining equipment from that site. Not just that, they also seized gold from the site. The leader of that task force is still alive. He is called Chu Ampofo Ajikum. The Deputy Attorney General on the line and his boss know him. I am daring them, and I will want to call on Joy News to interview that gentleman. He will tell you that after the raid, he submitted a report to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, specifically the Secretary Charles Bisu, and he handed over to them the gold they seized from the site, including what is called black, which is, in other words, concentrated gold. They had a pickup full of black seized from that site. Who mines and washes gold during prospecting? So the evidence was clear. Again, on the 11th of January 2019, anybody who doubts this can also Google it. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, after this raid, visited that site himself with the media. And when he went there, he confirmed that the company was operating illegally. He said they were engaged in illegal mining exploration and that they didn't have the license to do that. And he consequently suspended their prospecting license. So when you come out and tell us that in the face of all these incontrovertible pieces of evidence, you don't have evidence to prosecute or recommend the prosecution of Donald Isia, you are a bloody liar. And you should not be entertained on programs like this. You guys have no love for this country. And that is why you continue to cover up crimes, and you have the audacity to still come and speak on there and say, we are all concerned. Concerned about what? As Attorney General, you rightly told him that they have the power to direct the police on their investigations. Beyond going to Freeport Watson's house to ask him for further information on the matters contained in his report, and beyond inviting the persons named in the report, to give their response to the allegations that have been made against them by Professor Freeport Watson. Tell me, what other investigations did they do? Did they visit Krobo or Apapa Mine Forest Reserve? Did they talk to the members of the task force who raided this site, seized their equipment, and arrested Chinese for engaging in illegal mining?
But that's the job of the that's the job of the police.
We allow government officials to lie like this.
Yeah, but Sammy, isn't that the work of the police to do that investigations?
But the police works under the Attorney General. The power to prosecute crime is a sole prerogative of the Attorney General.
But that must be based on
at the BS of the Attorney General. And so if the police does a shoddy work, if they sit in the confines of their offices in Accra and produce for you a docket without visiting the site of the alleged illegal mining, speaking to the members of the task force who actually arrested the illegal miners and seized their equipment, those who actually have evidence of the illegal mining, they didn't speak to any of them. And you are a prosecutor with your source, and they give you a docket. Will you even give a legal opinion?
I mean, Sammy,
you straight away tell them to go and do a better job.
Sammy, stay on.
Because we are all neck deep in the cover-up. That is why they issue that legal opinion.
Sammy,
of covering up.
Sammy, stay on. Mr. Chaiba is on the line. Mr. Chaiba, in the case of Cecilia Dapa, you directed the police to do further investigations into some additional areas. Have you directed the police yet to do additional investigations into the evidence that is already available on Heritage Imperial Mining and Epapama Forest?
The advice that was uttered by the office, the police was directed to investigate three other individuals, or three individuals who also named in the report. That is what we did.
That is false. I can tell you that is false, and I can read the relevant portions of the said advice. What the Attorney General said was that with regards to the missing excavators, the police was already investigating the matter, and that they have asked the police to conclude investigations into the matter.
So what does it mean?
That is what they said. But with regards to
Sammy, just a second.
They did not call for any further investigation.
Yeah, and just a second, Mr. Chaiba. Even beyond that, I reference your statement today that on set Mante, John Oforiata, and Okowusi were alleged to be involved in the sale of excavators. Whilst you mentioned that, and then you've asked the police to continue with that particular probe.
Exactly. So Sammy must take his time. This kind of people being so paranoid about whatever public officers do in this ministry, I think we need to look at it well. We are dealing with professionals. Sammy is a lawyer just like my good self. He knows. He knows, and I also know that even if you utter a piece of advice today, that will not end the matter. And so if you are clearing someone, it means that the person cannot be prosecuted again. That's only when you say, fine, the person has gone through legal process, he's been acquitted and discharged. We are mindful of that. So whatever legal opinion that we utter, as already said, if you disagree with us, it's fair. At least you may have your own opinion. Now you think that this one is not, because after all, we are not people who can say that we know everything. But if you're also a very good citizen and you have evidence to that effect, what do? You gather the evidence,
but he doesn't have the evidence we are talking about here.
You gather the evidence, and then you go to the agency and say, fine, he is saying that this matter, they cannot advise on it. Because, can you hold on? Can we have a civil conversation? Ivan, can we have a civil conversation?
Over this same matter, the so-called illegal.
Sammy, just hold on for a second. I mean, this definitely will be interrogated. Mr. Chaiba, I made that point earlier, referencing your statement. But the question here is beyond what was already been investigated, that you've asked the police to conclude. The question is about the additional evidence available, which you actually reference, and also concede in the statement that you actually know the directors and that they actually directed for another company. The question is, have you asked the police to investigate those directors because you saw their company engage in wanton destruction of the environment?
If we find any evidence that points to the fact that certain individuals are into illegal mining, we will direct the police to take it up.
Even can I come in now?
Stay on for me.
I beg you, it's a
no, Sammy. I am moderating this conversation. Let me ask the question. I'll bring you in. You definitely have your say on the matter, because I need to ask Mr. Chaiba on that subject.
Around your question.
No, wait, but that's why I moderate this. Stay on for me. I'll come to you, Mr. Chaiba. On this point, same point. The question is a very simple one. You say in your statement, you actually admit that you saw the evidence of the destruction in the Joy News documentary. You know the directors. You know that beyond Heritage Imperial, they are actually also, directors of another company. The question is simple. You have the power to direct the police, having seen the evidence of the company's involvement. Have you done so?
Even as I said, our report is to the fact that the police were directed to investigate three other persons. We have not. We have not done so. But what I'm saying is that in the event that there is any fresh evidence that we need to direct the police to do further investigations,
I don't understand this, Ivan. Listen, when the the company in question, the Heritage Imperial.
But Sammy, I've not come to you. The man hasn't finished. Let him land on this point, and you come in. Okay,
Exactly.
Please wrap up. Your point is what? That when you have fresh evidence, what fresh evidence do you require now, besides what is already available?
Yes, Sammy has indicated that he has all the evidence indicating that a named person or company was into illegal mining. Fair enough. We will not fight him. If he has that evidence, we are saying submit the evidence to appropriate authorities for them to do further investigation. I mean, we are all citizens. We are not saying we know everything. At least, if you have it, this kind of political game that we want to play, is it going to resolve the issue that we have?
But
I said our opinion.
Yeah, I asked
again. You have something more than the opinion you've uttered.
I ask again, Mr. Chiayeboa, you forget for a second about what Sammy Gyamfi claims he has. I'm referencing your statement. You say that the reference to show the video by Multimedia Broadcasting Company, Erasa Saridonko, portraying the extent of damage caused to the environment and the health of humans by a legal mining company. You name the company. They said the havoc occasioned by galamsey activity. This is not in doubt. And indeed, prosecution is being undertaken in respect of offenses committed in various galamsey regions. I'm still quoting your statement. It is noted that most of the directors of Heritage Imperial were also directors in another company, C&J Alaska Limited. It is, however, pertinent to note that no part of the video showed evidence of any acts committed specifically by any of the individuals mentioned above. That's your statement. My question is, having agreed and admitted that this company and the video shows destruction, have you directed the police to probe to find that evidence of those behind that company?
As we speak, we have not done so because those named directors have not been linked to that destruction. But if we get further information that they are linked, my brother, we'll definitely direct them to do it.
But how do you get that information? But how do you get that information if you do not instruct the police to specifically look for it, like you did in the Sister Park case?
The past matter, I don't want us to go into that. But the fact is, if you utter an opinion or advice to the police, we can direct them. In this particular instance, we never directed them. But if there is fresh evidence to the effect that we need to direct them, we'll do it.
Mr. Gyamfi, he has a point, is that yes, it exists, but there's nothing fresh to proceed on, and that's why they have to move.
Fresh? Why do they need fresh evidence when they already have the evidence, all the evidence they need to bring criminal prosecutions, criminal proceedings against Heritage Imperial? Does the Deputy Attorney General know that on the 11th of January 2019, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources wrote to revoke the prospecting license of Heritage Imperial? Is he aware? Does he know that their prospecting license was revoked because the ministry found evidence that they were operating illegally in the Paprama Forest Reserve? Is he aware of that? Is he aware that that letter, which revoked the prospecting license of the company, made reference to the very multimedia clip we played at our press conference? Is he aware of that? Is he aware that a task force set up by his own government arrested workers of Heritage Imperial, some of whom were Chinese, for engaging in illegal mining, seized the equipment, including gold they had mined from the Pampama Forest Reserve? Has he cared to direct the police to speak to any of the people who were part of that task force? You see, the answer to all these questions is that he is aware of all the questions I asked. But they are not interested in inviting the right people who have custody of this knowledge, personal knowledge of these matters, and custody of the evidence. Because they are not interested in unearthing the truth. They are interested in covering up the truth. And it is so sad that public officers who are paid by the state to protect all of us will go to this extent of protecting wrongdoers at the expense of our collective survival.
Just follow.
We are losing our water bodies, our land,
our forest reserves and everything.
And they're simply just following procedure. I mean, the rule of natural justice. I mean, nobody is guilty until they are proving otherwise. You're innocent until proving guilty.
Nobody says somebody is guilty until proven innocent. We are saying that you have issued a legal opinion saying that you have no evidence to ground the prosecution of certain persons who have been named in the report of the former Minister for Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng. And we are telling you and actually pointing you to the evidence. And you are saying, oh, even though you are pointing me to the evidence that they already have, he says, oh, if we get fresh evidence. So what about the evidence you already have? I want to tell Lawyer Tia Yeboah, my good friend, when he goes to the office tomorrow, you should ask his boss that when Heritage Imperial sued Ghana for the wrongful seizure, the unlawful seizure of the equipment, his boss wrote to the Interministerial Committee to furnish him with all the evidence on the activities of Heritage Imperial and why the equipment had been seized. In a response to that letter, the secretary to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining forwarded to his boss, the Attorney General Godfred Dame, all the evidence from the EPA, from the Forestry Commission, and from the Lands Commission that show that the company was mining illegally. You are liars for claiming that you don't have the evidence when you have it.
Sammy Jemfi, thank you very much. Mr. Tia Yeboah, finally, is there a cover-up?
There isn't. How long are you going to cover it up? You are not acquitting and discharging the person. The person, if he's actually involved, could be held before any court at any time. Now, Sammy has mentioned certain documents and references. That's very good. If we follow up, and that's the case, I mean, we are public officers. Why wouldn't we consider such things? That's what we need to take our time. At the end of the day, if someone needs to be prosecuted, I give the assurance that that person will be prosecuted. And advice given by the Attorney General does not close the case permanently. It can be reopened at any time. He has now pointed certain pieces of information out. We follow up. If there's a need to change it, why not? But if there's nothing, then we cannot conjure it.
So just for clarity, you are committing tonight here on the show that you will follow up on the details as been articulated by Sammy Jemfi.
The details that he has articulated, if we get the lead, sometimes you may say it, you don't get the lead. That's what I'm expecting. That's all this that he has mentioned. Sammy Jemfi is my brother. His part is a lawyer. He's also a political actor. If he has all these things, stop seeing. Apart from mentioning, I've heard it. All right. But he can also declare it. Oh, this is what I have. Let's also look at that.
But
I think that should one.
Except that
if there is any piece of evidence connecting any of those persons to the commission of that crime, that illegal mining, you go after that person or that company.
Except that all the pieces of information that he put out is publicly available, including the documentary that you yourself referenced in your statement.
Documentary, yes. You may watch a documentary. That's fair. I watch it. If you see a documentary on network, I watch. I'm worried. And I also worried. We want to connect those who are behind that. Your network has actually taken a very huge chunk of the fight. You've done a yeoman's job. I must commend you. But we are so asking that even if you have such documentaries and we think you need one or three pieces of information, everybody should help us. Nobody will be covered. Nobody will just be made to go under the bridge. If you have done anything wrongful, definitely the law catch up with you.
And just before you go, another matter that is coming up in the last 24 hours or so is Trafigura. And they've moved to sell Ghana's assets in the UK. And they've won this 140 million arbitral award against Ghana for the termination of a power deal by the state. This is in 2021. However, the latest ruling of the court, if nothing happens, barring any change in that, they will sell our assets. Is the Attorney General doing anything about this?
Yes, Evans. This judgment was entered in January 2021. January 2021. that in the transition, or just immediately after the president had been sworn for a second term. When the judgment was entered, the Ministry of Finance took a step to have the matter settled. At least just after how we're going to pay that judgment debt. An agreement was reached. Some payments were made to the judgment creditor. But there was a default on the part of judgment creditor, that's Ghana. So they decided to go to legal process by going to execution of the judgment. As we speak, our understanding is that the Ministry of Finance is in talks with the judgment debtors so that the original settlement agreement that they had, they could just go by it and then this matter be settled once and for all.
Have we paid any part of the 140 million at all?
Our understanding is that the initial agreement that they entered into, some amount of money was paid by the Ministry of Finance.
You know exactly how much?
I don't know it offhand.
Thank you very much, Alfred Chaiba. That's the Deputy Attorney General there speaking to us on this galamsey issue on the day we heard from the Ghana Bar Association and also from the Attorney General himself in a statement. Still ahead here on News Night. Fears of possible disease outbreak heightens as Parliament is set to hold the Volta River Authority fully accountable, with the minority demanding that the VRA pays compensation to thousands of residents affected by floods caused by the spillage of the Kosomo Dam.
And I insist that the VRA have questions to answer when the House resumes. We will file a motion for a probe. We don't think that they conducted themselves properly in this matter.
We'll also hear from the Vice President, who is challenging the VRA and NANMO to devise a more sustainable method for managing excess water.
It is something that we have to understand, that this is the largest disaster in the last 60 years.
Also, tonight, Ghana Journalists Association calls on police to open another investigation into the case of the 16 persons and prosecute the matter again, as it says, the fines are not adequate enough. And then this is related to that invasion of the premises of UTV.
When they find new charges, they can still revisit the case. So we will urge the police to revisit the case, to revisit the docket, and consider the charges, the proposed charges we have mentioned today.
And we tell you why the GJA has also been condemning the National Media Commission.
They are siding with government instead of the media practitioners or journalists they are supposed to protect. We are supposed to hear the NMC fighting for the media and not to be spokesperson of government.
In business, government to roll out new initiative targeted at job creation and expansion of the economy in the 2024 budget.
And in sports, have patience for Ghana's young and inexperienced team. That's Jordan Ayew after Black Stars' disappointing performance in the October friendlies.
All the details plus your views after this.
Ajwa, the online page for the new business account was in shambles yesterday. We lost the page.
Tell me about it.
We started off very confident, and then the office broadband went down. When we set up the hotspot from the phone to reconnect, the data allocation also got finished.
You are joking.
I wish. The meeting room was hot. Kobe quickly tried calling them to give us some more time, but he had no airtime. Total chaos. They also gave us feedback that our website didn't have enough information. How can you run a business this way and hope to grow?
Oh dear.
Your business communication can be way better than this. Vodafone One Business is a complete communications package that gives you broadband with data transfer to mobile phones, mobile package with free calls among employees, landline with free calls and website design plus domain name registration. At Vodafone Business, we understand that strong connections within your business lead to success. Call 050-777-9000 or sign up by sending an email to sme@vodafone.com. Vodafone, further together.
Ready? Let's go. We all go bring some savannah.
Everyone is dancing, everyone is singing, because everyone is painting with Savannah. Savannah paints from Azar are affordable enough for everybody to fulfill their paint needs. Paint more, pay less. Savannah paint, we all go paint some.
We all go paint some savannah. We all go paint some.
Go for gold and bet risk-free on the new season with Betway. Use the golden booking code found on the Betway site to bet on selected match week and get 100% back as a free bet on any losses. You always get more with Betway. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
You are live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. As fears of a possible disease outbreak grows tonight, Parliament is serving notice. It will hold the Volta River Authority fully accountable for the woes of residents in parts of the Volta region affected by the floods caused by spillage of water from the Akosomo Dam. Now, there are reports some displaced persons have been compelled to rely on polluted water for some of their chores. Now, Queen Mother of Sopo in the Nortong district of the Volta region, Mamaga Ajosu, is worried the communities will show signs of infections and will trigger the spread of disease.
The water is highly polluted. They have to come to our aid. We went for a meeting on Sunday, and then the MP suggested we use the Agohome dam. That one, they will be able to sterilize it. He mentioned some chemicals that is supposed to be bought by the VRA so that they will be able to be opening the tap like intermediately. But as I'm speaking now, the tap is still not flowing. And for weeks now, we don't have flowing water. We need to drink. We need to bath. We need to wash. We need to cook. What water are we going to use for all those kind of activities? It is a hindrance to us. We thank God that we haven't had any casualty of death. But what I know is there are snakes and then other kind of this thing in the water. Some even when they touch your skin, the worms, and then it wouldn't have effect now. Maybe after some time before they will see the effect. My fear is maybe after this, then the sicknesses will come up, because when you drink it right now, you will not have effect. But for weeks or months before the effect will start coming up.
Well, doctors dispatched by the Ghana Medical Association are on the ground and have been conducting screening because of the declaration of a public health emergency there, and they're now beginning to see the beginnings of what they fear to be an outbreak of diseases. Dr. Richard Salome is the acting General Secretary of the GMA.
Our members have been on the ground from the early days. The only thing is that now we have mobilized more people to join them.
Okay.
The team is being led by the Volta Divisional Chairperson, and we have collaborated with the nurses as well as a clinical psychologist from 37 Military Hospital who has also volunteered to join the team. And they are on the ground as we speak today. They visited some of the mobile centers. Some of the things that we are seeing currently are the fact that a lot of the people are reporting with some malaria and then respiratory conditions, especially because of the crowding in and the centers. And then a few people are beginning to show signs of waterborne diseases. So that's the main assessment as it stands at the moment. But we are worried about the fact that there is still that big risk of waterborne diseases being blown out of proportion, especially since there are challenges with sanitary facilities in some of these places. You have about almost 1,000 people lodged in a school compound, and with very few toilets that was meant for just a few students in the facility. And this is becoming a big challenge for us.
Well, tonight there's a push from Parliament for the VRA to be held fully accountable for the disaster we've seen in part of the Volta region, Greater Accra region, and also the Eastern region. Listen to MP for Nortong, Samakuju Tablaka, whose constituency is one of the worst hit.
A lot of these people have their homes destroyed. So we need to have a discussion about resettlement. We need to have a discussion about compensation. And I insist that the VRA have questions to answer when the House resumes. We will file a motion for a probe. We don't think that they conducted themselves properly in this matter. And we insist that they have to announce plans for full compensation of the victims. They cannot be living in these camps for the rest of their life. They cannot lose their farms for the rest of their life. They cannot lose their fish ponds, lose their businesses. So it's important to stress that there are layers and there are phases. Now we are all concerned about the urgent relief that they need to survive in the camps, but it's just a temporal measure. we must begin to look at their resettlement. We must begin to look at full compensation, and that we will not compromise on those key indicators.
Well, today, former President Mahama, in a Facebook post a few hours ago, called on government to declare state of emergency in the affected areas. The Member of Parliament for North Tong, who you just heard there, has been backing this call and says a minority will use Parliament to force the government to make that declaration.
After we've already discussed it, and we are in the process of triggering a parliamentary action in that regard. We believe that this is a national disaster that we should all, be united and confront as a people. It shouldn't be we versus them, or this party and that party, and that's why we are urging the government to just declare state of emergency, and let's get that additional support both within and without. But if government delays, then we will be compelled to see what we can trigger from our side in Parliament.
Well, my colleague Carlos Kaloni has been on the ground all day today and has been following both the Vice President but also gauging the relief effort. And Carlos, you've been touring the affected areas. Let's talk about the relief effort. Have you seen any improvement? Are people getting the relief they need?
Yes, indeed, Evans. I can say for a fact that those we are speaking to have been establishing the point that they are now getting the relief items, especially in the North Tong district area. That's where you see a lot of these relief items pouring in. I mean, from the efforts of the Member of Parliament for that area, and the fact that that place is the center for the emergency response. And so they appear to be getting a lot of that. But if you come down to South Tong and Central Tong, it appears that the level is a bit down. Even though some corporate organizations are bringing in the focus appears much to be on the Mepe, the North Tong area, Evans.
And we've just been listening to the doctors and also residents there talk about the potential of an outbreak, because they're being forced to drink, the water that has been engulfed by feces, because some of the toilet facilities have been taken over by the flood waters. On the ground, what have you observed? Are they getting potable water now? Is there any effort to get that done?
Well, Evans, those we've been speaking to, they have been maintaining that they are using the water from the lake, and this is not just limited. I mean, the impact of the usage of the lake water will not be limited to just the residents. The reason is that, those who sell fresh tilapia, according to them, they are heavily relying on the water from the lake to prepare this fish. So you can imagine the impact this will have on those of us who consume this fresh fish. We don't know from what source. So yes, according to the residents and the assembly member for the Sokwe electoral area, about 90% of residents in Sokwe rely on water from the lake. Even though the district assembly is making some effort by providing some sachet water to them, the residents believe that a more appropriate way for solving the problem is to provide them with water storage facilities so that water tankers can bring in potable water where the community can fetch. But relying solely on packaged water won't solve the problem either. So that's the concern from residents of the state.
And Carlos, stay with me, because the Vice President has also been touring the affected areas today. But I want to quickly bring in Stanley Mate. He's Head of Communications at the Ghana Water Company. Also joining us tonight is Dr. Richard Salome. He's Acting General Secretary of the GMA. Mr. Mate, let me start with you. What's the situation with the supply of water in the affected areas?
Yes, thank you very much, Evans. The Ghana Water Company Limited has been very concerned, and we also have been on the ground looking at how best we can also help in the supply of water. Initially, the Sojakope plant for power went off. As a result, we didn't have power to produce, but we were able to, we managed to, ECG managed to get us power from our flow, and so now we are able to pump water in some of our treatment plants within the southern sector during the day. They are unable to get power in the evening, so we are unable to perform or produce water 24 hours in a day, just half the day. So we are getting the water from there. Now we are also liaising with National Security and NADMO, and we have shown them they have tankers. I mean, NADMO has a lot of tankers, so it's National Security. So they've moved all those tankers to that area, and we have shown them points where they can get water so that they supply to the communities. Within Japon area, we have water in Japon area, so we are also pumping in that area, and we've shown them points where they can also fetch water. So on the whole, I think the water situation is not bad. We are on the ground. Our Volta regional management is on the ground, and we are monitoring everything around Kita and Ogan. We've made points available in all that area so that they can fetch water from the closest point to serve any area that they want to serve. But what I want to assure Ghanaians is that we are on the ground and we are ensuring that water is available anywhere that is needed.
And I'm just curious, I mean, the ECG, for example, has been badly impacted. Their transmission stations have been submerged. How is that affecting yourself, your ability to do your job and to serve the people?
Yes. We had was a power outage, and that ECG is doing its best to give us power, like I said initially. The other one is aquatic weeds. Now, because of the pressure within the base of the water, it's washing off all aquatic weeds, especially into our intake area. So it's almost blocking water from being abstracted for treatment. But we are using our filter screens to remove them gradually. We have had professional divers who will help us by the weekend to remove most of the weeds, so that at least we'll be able to abstract enough water for treatment. But on the whole, we are managing the situation. Apart from power, which is a challenge, we are able to manage all other parameters. Now, with also the way the pressure in the river, turbidity is a bit high. So then we have had to use more chemicals to treat the water in the areas in our treatment plants within that enclave. But on the whole, we are managing it and we are ensuring and that the most important people around the area who need water are getting water. They are the people who are most important now. I mean, the situation is very terrible. I don't know whether you've been to the place, but we've been on the ground and it's very terrible. So we are doing everything possible to ensure that everything goes well, everybody gets access to water, and so that there wouldn't be any outbreak of any disease. Thank you.
Stanley, thank you very much. Dr. Richard Salome is Acting General Secretary of the GMA, and as I've been reporting, they have their doctors on the ground. Today they've been screening. Dr. Salome, last night when we spoke, you were beginning to see the beginnings you feared of some form of outbreak. You talk about malaria, etc. What's the update tonight from the screening you've done?
All right, thank you, Evans. We've had the team of doctors, and not only doctors, as I mentioned, we are collaborating with the GRNMA, so we have nurses and other professionals with us. They've divided themselves into about 6 teams and going to various communities, including one community which is Overbank and Cutoff. Some of the conditions we are noticing are, as I mentioned yesterday, waterborne diseases. Today, we found 2 more people who are showing signs of bilharzia, that is schistosomiasis. And then also one person had to be managed with IV fluids for diarrheal conditions. We are worried still because even though water supply is improving, you still get people having to use water to wash things, and then even some of them attempting to use water from the river to cook. So the need for potable water and the need to restore enough and adequate water supply is very, very paramount. Also is the need to bring as much as possible sanitary facilities for them to be able to use these facilities in a safe manner. So our team is educating people on various techniques to use to prevent waterborne diseases, hand washing. Some soap is also being made available. Today we also received some items from VRA, including medications and other things for the people to be able to use. We still are warning communities downstream that the
contaminated water is not just limited to the north, south, and central tongue areas. They are washing things downstream. And so communities downstream should be careful how they still step into the water, fetch water for usage and things like that. The water is heavily contaminated, and people should be very careful. The team is also attending to people who also have other conditions which are not necessarily related to the flood. People who have hypertension, diabetes, a few people also needing care for some conditions like ANC visits, pregnant women who are cut off from the regular health centers they attend. And that is what has been happening so far. One team is yet to report from the Overbank area, and we are waiting for their return to also hear their reports.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Richard Salome there with his team of doctors on the ground. I want to bring in now Fatima Abubakar. She's a Deputy Information Minister. Madam Abubakar, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thanks for having me. Good evening
and
to you and your listeners.
Yesterday, we heard from the Volta Regional Minister that the interministerial committee set up by the President had been meeting. Can you share with us what the outcome had been?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, as you are aware, the focus of government is to ensure that, first of all, there is safety, and second of all, those who are moved to safe havens get to receive necessary supplies that they can survive on until such a time that they can be rehabilitated. So all our efforts are to audit, account for what supplies are going to the communities as and when the number of affected individuals increase and there is the need to escalate the level of or support or relief that are sent to communities, we do so. And the other issue has to do with complaints about the water turning colors and the need for us to get some technical people or scientists from the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources to test the level of contamination so that they can be a determination whether people can still use the boats to cross the water to and fro, or we find alternative routes for them, or whether people need to be moved, relocated to other temporary locations rather than safe havens where we have situations where some of the safe havens like St. Kizito are almost surrounded by water, because if it is so contaminated, maybe the quality of air will also be affected and there can be outbreak of diseases. As at now, the district assemblies, together with the Ministry of Roads, have found alternative routes which are not motorable. And as at yesterday, one of the decisions was for them to move some graders and equipment to go and clear alternative routes so that the use of boats to cross the contaminated waters reduce. And as I mentioned earlier, to escalate the amount of support and relief that are going to the communities. When it comes to water, I listen to the minister. We are aligned, and the next step that the committee is looking at is water storage. And today on ground, they are looking at ways that they can store water, not the ones that the tankers they supply, not the sachet waters, but if there can be some polytanks situated at some key points where, beyond people fetching with barrels and buckets from the tanks, they can store and use them later on to bath, so that there will be no excuse not to use the portable or purified waters that have been provided. So far, that has been the action taken by government. And as I mentioned, again, we have the 48 engineers regiment who have deployed about 30 military personnel and 3 aluminium boats patrolling the place and also helping to evacuate people. And we have the Rivering Command in all the places downstream from Akosombo to ensure that if there need to be evacuation, where there are emergencies that we would need support from such institutions, they will be available to do that.
Okay.
We also have the support of the Naval Training Command also on ground helping with safety. And as you are aware, we have turned the Inquisitor camp at Mete as the command center. So the security also have their post there. We have the clinics and doctors and nurses and other facilities we are providing for emergency situations.
And there's also a call for a declaration of a state of emergency. Was this considered at this meeting yesterday, and was a decision on that?
I don't think we have. I don't think that is something that is considered at the moment. But of course, this is when we talk about emergency and disasters. It should tell you that even with the best of minds, maybe things may go beyond your anticipation. So this is a committee that met yesterday. It's meeting. Even some members of the committee, subcommittees, were meeting today. We have subsequent committees in course of the week. We take reports and make assessments whether there's been improvements or the number of evacuees or affected persons have increased. By close of yesterday, about some 28,000 people were affected by the floods. And if the numbers go up, if the situation escalates, of course, whatever is necessary, action will be taken by government. But in the meantime, the focus has been on health, safety, and also evacuation exercises and then relief support. And the other issue I didn't mention is the fact, of course, as most of the safe havens or centers where we are housing or keeping victims in the meantime are campuses. And you know there are constraints in terms of some facilities like toilets. If there were toilet facilities for about 200 students and now you have 1,000 people there will be some pressure on those facilities. One of the decisions was also to deploy these biodigester toilets and some additional support to ensure that we don't experience outbreaks among those who are being kept as the safe haven.
Okay. Fatima Abubakar, thank you very much. And she's the Deputy Information Minister. So live here on Newsnight is on Joy 99.7 FM. And today, the Vice President himself has also been on the ground following the heels of his boss, the President. Carlos was there and joins us again. And Carlos, the Vice President, has been seeing the extent of devastation for himself. And he wants the VRA and NADMO to do better.
Exactly, Ivan. So he's been talking about a more sustainable way of managing the situation, considering the climate issues that we have on our hand globally. And so he's been charging them to look at a more sustainable way of dealing with the problem.
I am told that the last time we had this type of a flooding disaster in these communities was 60 years ago, in 1963. And that resulted even in the movement of people to New Bapa here and all of that. And so it is something that we have to understand that this is the largest disaster in the last 60 years. The last 60 years. So it's monumental what is happening. Beyond just providing temporary relief, we are looking at more sustained and support to the victims so that they can restore the livelihoods that they had. With what has happened, it's very, very important that we think about long-term solutions to these problems. Because if we don't have a long-term solution, with the climate change that is happening, we are getting rains at times when we don't even expect rains. 10 years ago, our worry was about the low level of the water in the dam. Today, we are worried about the high level of the water in the dam. So climate change is bringing in new situations that we have to handle. And so I want to challenge VRA and NADMO. Let us start thinking of long-term solutions to this spillage from the dam. Is there a way we can manage the spillage Of course, I'm not an engineer, so I want you, the engineers, to handle it. But one thing I've thought about is why can't we have pipelines?
And that is the Vice President there. So live here on Newsnight is on Joy 99.7 FM. When we return from business, why are so many high-profile religious leaders abandoning their place on the National Cathedral Board of Trustees? And what does that mean for the project itself? Details after George Jaffe.
Hi, Evans, and coming up in business, government to roll out new initiative in 2024 budget targeted at job creation and expansion of the economy. And Bank of Ghana steps up market support to deal with the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthesis Tanks, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal.
Imagine strutting into the most anticipated wedding of the year. Only to see 7 other girls wearing your exact same outfit.
You are special and one of a kind, and that's why whether it's voice, data or SMS, you get to enjoy personalized offers tailored to your specific needs with MTN Just For You. Dial *141# or select your options on the My MTN app to redeem your unique Just For You package on Ghana's best mobile network. MTN.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's Back to School promotion is here with us once again. From the 4th of September to the 31st of October 2023, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10% to 15% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and so much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stock lasts. For more information, call us on 0302 764 101 or 0302 764 209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Syntex tank. Syntex tank, stress-free. Syntex tank, reliable. Syntex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough.
For over 10 years, Old Mutual has been touching lives in Ghana. Whether you're a trader or a student, an entrepreneur or an employer, or nearing your retirement, we have the right financial solutions tailored just for you. Contact Old Mutual on 030-7000-600 or visit our website on oldmutual.com.gh to learn more. And let's realize your financial freedom together. 10 years of greatness, here for a lifetime. Old Mutual, do great things every day.
Media Sambisanda mo. Etiemra tiano. Mu wai pa na tumi fi na mo bodom pe mo man yakono. Eye kwabna. Na mu wonsu na tumi just mali me ma yeni nyina de. Eye kojo. Enu kro. Kwabna tumi wi na bodom pe mo sense o yisu accident eba. Aye den aban ne do braye. Wo si eti na mo ban na sem ma na hoode ne. Sa ani na kudwo nsu yisu accident chako. Na enu ne de e ma wo se wo ye kreje fita. Na wotimi asiri bedwo ma na feel you. Ey kojo. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie. You're gonna natural.
FDIJ Twadian Katoyatu.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government is set to roll out a new initiative in the 2024 budget, specifically targeted at job creation and growing the economy. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been given more details in yet to be aired PM Express Business Edition on Joy News at 9 p.m. tomorrow.
When you look at what we are doing with the fund, you can see that with the LEAP program, we have indexed it to make sure that we protect, against inflation, and we are also increasing the number of people that may be eligible to it, to make sure that no one is really sort of left behind. Schools feeding rates are being increased, and affirmative action is something that we are also going to be really focused on. So embedded in the program itself is really a good faith effort to make sure that we have a landing zone that is good for all. But in the end, what do you do with the 23 to the 35? What do you do to the entrepreneur? What do you do to the SMEs? And that's where we'll be finding various packages for them.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta speaking on a yet-to-be-aired PM Express Business Edition at 9 p.m. tomorrow on Joy News. The Bank of Ghana is stepping up dollar intervention for banks to deal with the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi. Joy Business understands the central bank yesterday provided some $2 million, a move that help in strengthening the local currency's performance on the market. Sources close to the bank say they are monitoring developments on the market and will take the necessary measures to hold the Ghana cedi against other major foreign currencies. Many people will also be looking forward to the cocoa loan syndication, a move that could also help in strengthening the Ghana cedi. Financial economist Professor Lord Mensah has described the proposed 40% haircut for Eurobond holders as expected. Now, this is due to the proposed target set under the debt restructuring program for these external debts. Now, government is looking at about a 40% reduction on the principal payment for these holders and 5% on coupon payments. Professor Lord Mensah tells Joy Business they shouldn't expect any negative reaction from these investors because they've priced this risk.
We are looking at bonds and the conditions attached to it. If you're an investor and you purchase a bond on the market, you understand probably the risk that goes with it and the returns that is expected of the bond. Our economy as we speak now has deteriorated, and of course our ability to service the debt has gone down. Questions they will be asking themselves is, what is the extreme situation? What is the downside level of risk that they are likely to be exposed to? And having that in play, knowing very well that if the country should go into trouble completely, you may lose your money, without necessarily recouping the money back as expected.
Professor Lord Mensah is a financial economist. The government says it is in the process of developing an automotive competent manufacturing development policy, a move expected to take full advantage of the sector. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the first ever assembling of Ashok Leyland Phoenix trucks, Deputy Minister of Trade Michael Ochibrefi stated that the policy should enhance the availability of certified parts on the market.
We are on it. As at now, the policy is almost ready. I can tell you for sure that it's almost ready. And we are also trying hard to be able to encourage a lot of investors, who are wherever in the world, to come in, to partner governments in the area of component development. So with regards to component manufacturing policy, we are almost through with the policy. This partnership, with Ashok Leyland is going to go a way to strengthen our relationship and also to grow, in the area of industry development. And we are sure it's going to help us to push our economy up to the level that we want to be in the future.
On his part, head of international operations at Ashok Leyland, Rashid Gahar, said the assembling of these trucks in Ghana will afford their business partners seamless transportation experience.
So Ashokland has always been in the forefront of creating technologies for the world, and we actually want to partner with more and more companies across the globe today. And we already have manufacturing facilities spread across in Asia, the Middle East and Africa, and we want to proudly present across this assembly plant in Ghana right now. And we are assembling the made in Ghana, the proudly assembled Phoenix products across here. This is the 9th assembly plant for Ashokland across the globe today.
Rajek is the head of international operations at Ashok Leyland. Now, Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industry, Shona Makpelu, has called on government to take immediate action to tighten the country's borders against smuggling. Now, citing the smuggling of sanitary pads as a result of tax on finished parts product, Mr. Akpelu said smuggling of cheap and inferior products is hurting local manufacturing and pricing them out. He's been speaking to Joy Business at the Greater Accra annual meeting and seminar of the Association of Ghana Industries.
We are fully aware that some of fake inferior sanitary parts are being imported, are being smuggled to the country without going through the proper borders and paying the right duties. So it's become very cheap, but the standards are low and making our local production of sanitary parts uncompetitive. We need the borders to be fixed. We need to deal with this issue as a matter of urgency. Issues around sanitary parts, for example, are matters that borders on health and health of our women.
Chona Makpelu is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans. It's interesting. Anyway, my question is that does it mean that now when it comes to hydropower generation, we're now sorted because there's enough water in the dam? Remember that, there were times when we had to send people there even to pray for more rains in the dam.
Well, the Akosumo Dam has its own output, so you have the maximum output. As simple as that. It's not going to you can't exceed the output because you have more water. That's the situation that you have on your hands. Except that the water is more than 277.5 feet. That's the maximum operating level. That's where you cannot exceed because then you breach the integrity of the dam itself. So they're trying to manage that, and thankfully it's been falling consistently, but the rains are also not ceasing. Yeah, so you have to balance that quite carefully. Thank you very much, George. Let's do Ms. Bao now. He has sports for us. Hello, Ms. Bao.
The Black Stars of Ghana lost early this morning to the United States of America, 4-0. That game, 30 minutes. After just 30 minutes, the Black Stars had conceded 4 goals and, of course, went on to lose that game. But that same scoreline. Well, after the game, my colleagues in the USA caught up with some Ghanaians who made time to go watch the game. And these were the reaction of Ghanaians in the USA to the performance of the Black Stars.
To support our people now. I mean, we don't know what's going on. If this is the team that we have there, then I really don't know, sir. I don't think that we have a future.
The way Ghana they decide to America, so they say America. I can't well play almost Ghana, man. Oh, wait, yeah. You will be a year over. It's a poor performance, man. You should check out before you go to the Nations Cup.
Yeah, so those are the reactions of some Ghanaians based in the USA who witnessed that game in Nashville, Tennessee as well. Black Stars forward and captain of the day, Jordan Ayew, has however been calling on the Ghanaian public to have patience with the team, describing the team as a young one and also inexperienced, needing time to improve.
I just feel like it's a matter, we just need a bit of more time because it's a new group. A lot of new players, and most of the players are really inexperienced. So it's not easy, but we're working on it because we know we don't have time. And this type of games is a reality check. And now we know our level, and we have to keep working hard to get this cohesion together and to learn how to play together and all those things. So we'll come with time, but we all know that in football there's not really time, so we're pushing hard and we're trying our best to have better performances as a team, and with time it will come.
Yeah, Jordan, are you there? Well, next up for the Black Stars in November are 2 World Cup qualifiers, and they'll be looking to improve that. Let me just leave you with this story coming from Spain, and it's Barcelona president Joan Laporta, whom we understand formal investigation has been opened into him for some suspected bribery, and this is in reference to the case which Barcelona are under investigation for allegedly making some payment to some former referee officials and subsequently winning favors from the referee. So we'll keep tabs on that. And also at Newcastle, midfielder Sandro Tonali, we understand investigation has been opened into him also for engaging in some betting activities while he played for AC Milan. He has admitted to engaging in the betting activities, and if he's found guilty after all investigations, is likely to be banned for 1 year. So that's it. Brought to you by Pepsi, Heppel and Chaco. Evans, that's for sports.
Well, thank you very much. Now, the Ghana Journalists Association is asking the police to reopen fresh investigations into the case involving 16 persons who have been convicted and fined for invading the UTV studio during a live show. The 16 were fined 2,400 cedis each after they pleaded guilty to the charge of unlawful entry. But speaking at a media briefing on the matter, President of the GJA, Albert Jumfor, said the police could have done better. My colleague James Abaji is in the studio with me. What's the basis for this?
Yes, Evan. So the GJA believes that the police, in the bid to swiftly prosecute the matter, sacrifice justice for speed. In fact, the GJA President, Albert Jumfor, pointed to the fact that from their independent probe into the matter, they can count at least 10 charges that the police could have pressed against the perpetrators to get a stiffer punishment.
While commending the police and the court for the speedy prosecution and conviction, we are of the opinion that under the circumstances and based on video evidence of the appearance on that fateful evening, the charges preferred against them were not far-reaching because their actions should have resulted in the investigation and attraction of the following charges. And I name them. 1. Unlawful entry. 2. Rioting. 3. Rioting with weapons. 4. Assault and battery. 5. Causing harm. 6. Threat of harm. 7. Unlawful assembly. 8. Offensive conduct conducive to breach of the peace. 9. Forcible entry. And 10. Allegedly carrying offensive weapons. The charges of conspiracy to commit crime and rioting, in our opinion, are inadequate, soft-handed, and minimalistic, to say the least.
Well, Abaji, the GJ also took on the National Media Commission. Why?
Exactly, Evan. So they think that statement from the NMC seems to be in so much praise for government. In fact, they say that it paints the picture as though the Attorney General did favor to Ghanaians by prosecuting the matter when it is their duty to do so.
162 clause 1 says the freedoms and independence of the media are hereby guaranteed. Okay, that is also mandatory. So you can't exercise any choice in that. And the simple understanding is that it is as though the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has a choice to prosecute because somebody is Party A or Party B. He is the Attorney General of the state of Ghana. When he is prosecuting, he doesn't look at the political color you wear. He's prosecuting you because you've committed a crime. And so when somebody has committed a crime, the Attorney General doesn't have a choice that I will prosecute you because you belong to Party A or Party B. He has to prosecute you.
In brief, the NMC statement seems to position NMC on a different pedestal, which means that they are siding with government instead of the media practitioners or journalists they are supposed to protect. They are supposed to hear the NMC fighting for the media and not to be spokesperson of government.
You're still listening to News Night. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the National Cathedral Project Secretariat has refuted claims of a lack of needed audit by Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and Reverend Eastwood Anaba as their stated grounds for resigning from the Board of Trustees overseeing the construction of the cathedral. We'll bring you details from that statement that they've issued tonight. But first, the Joy News features editor Jojo Kobna takes you down memory lane to when Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams wholeheartedly supported the construction of the cathedral and asks what really happened for him to withdraw his support.
We receive divine enablement and fortification and stamina.
A stirring prayer from Archbishop Duncan Williams, a member of the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, on the 6th of March 2017. A Catholic priest then blessed the National Cathedral grounds with sprinkles of holy water. All was set for the construction of the National Cathedral. Archbishop Duncan Williams, on his fundraising rounds, pledged to support the president to fulfill his promise to God.
I had the opportunity to meet him in his office and I said, Mr. President, and after hearing him, and I looked him in the eye, and looking into his eye, I could see into the soul, and when he said it was a vow I made to God, and I need you to join the team to help me honor that vow, I knew that it was a God thing.
Unfortunately, some notable members of the Board of Trustees have resigned. The founder and general overseer of the ICGC, Dr. Mensah Otabel, resigned. The founder and presiding bishop of the Lighthouse Group of Churches, Bishop Darkyward Mills, also resigned. The latest to resign are Duncan Williams and Reverend Eastwood Anaba. In a joint statement, Archbishop Duncan Williams and Reverend Anaba said their decision to step down stems from government's failure to appoint an independent accounting firm to conduct a comprehensive audit of all public funds contributed to the National Cathedral. On 23rd of January this year, the two clergymen called for the project's immediate suspension and a financial audit. The preachers say not much has been heard in terms of their request, so they have resolved to step down from the project board. The president made a personal donation of 100,000 cedis and said that the government would provide land.
The idea is for the state of Ghana to bequeath the land to the project on which we are, and for the financing and funding of the project to come from within the Christian community and the community of all believers in Ghana.
But later, the government was generous enough to donate seed money totaling 339 million cedis. The government voted 80 million cedis in the 2023 budget for the construction of the National Cathedral, but the minority kicked against it. Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, has been a firm critic of the project.
When you tell us that the role of the state is just appointment of the architect and design team, which by the way is fresh information, it was not contained in any of the budget documents, land and this preparation, setting up and equipping the secretariat and seed money, you are not being particularly candid. The government continues with this opacity and the lack of full disclosure.
As of June 2022, the National Cathedral Secretariat revealed that various churches and denominations had donated 2.21 million cedis. Unfortunately, 4 significant church leaders have resigned from the board. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
Well, in the last hour, the National Cathedral Secretariat has issued a statement, and my colleague Papania Shale is here with details of that. Papa.
Yeah, Evans, the statement is signed by Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah, is the Executive Director of the National Cathedral Project. In the concluding part of the statement, he mentions that, well, the two individuals had applied that there should be an audit, but that was refused on 2 grounds. One, that they were asking that the audit should be done before any other thing should be done by the Secretariat. So therefore, they had struck it out. And secondly, because it was already on an agenda and the audit had started by Deloitte, then they felt that, well, it wasn't necessary for them to stop all that they were doing because they're already doing the audit.
Details of the statement will be up on myjoyonline.com and across our many social media platforms. You can also catch that full report on the Joy News channel on Joy News Prime. And guess who is joining me right now with the survivor's story? And that's the lady hitting the microphone there in the background.
Hi, Evans.
She is Inimwado. Hello, Inimwado.
Hi, Evans. I've missed you.
Miss you too.
Yeah. What's up?
You too. I'm okay.
Okay, that's good. Have you been listening? Yeah, I'm really good. Have you been listening to our stories?
Yeah, the last time I was here, that's when you started.
That's 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
So, I enjoy that.
We're gonna have another amazing one tonight. It's interesting, the dynamics in a marriage or in a relationship when there's pain and sickness and suffering and I mean, we're really enjoying bringing this perspective on sickness this time around. So yeah.
Please stick and stay. The survivor's story, couples edition.
Couples edition.
Beautiful.
Yes.